Okay, so today we're starting off our lesson with a little quiz in class, and so what I would like you to do is pause the video and copy down these problems, and then you want to do them before you watch the video. So copy these two down. Notice it says list any domain restrictions, and then you want to copy these two down and do them. Once you have them copied down, pause the video and then actually watch it. Okay. All right, so test is going to be on Wednesday, and so make sure we're ready for that. Make sure we realize when we walk in the door on Wednesday, all homework needs to be done. Whatever's not done turns into a 0, okay? And I know some of us are starting to slip a little bit, so we need to make sure that we get that stuff done, okay? All right, so it says perform the indicated operation, simplify your answer, and list any domain restrictions. All right, so here's what you got to be careful of is when we start mixing all of these together, what are my first steps? And so sometimes we goof up, when do I factor? When do I get a common denominator? When do I cross stuff out? All of that, okay? So whenever it's a multiply or a divide, basically the first thing you want to do is factor everywhere you can factor, like every piece everywhere, okay? So when I look at number 1, top left, I can't do anything. Top right, I can factor to x plus 2, x minus 2. Bottom left, I can't do anything. Bottom right, I can factor to x minus 5, x minus 3. Okay, everybody agree with that factoring? Now, the multiply and divide, once you factor, these are the easiest problems because now it's just about crossing stuff out. And so I see an x minus 5, I see an x plus 2, and so when I'm done, I get x minus 2 over x minus 3. So that's my main answer. Then it says list any domain restriction. So that's like the excluded values that we've been talking about. And so remember, excluded values are whatever would make the bottom 0. So I need to look at everything that was ever in the bottom. So this is going to produce an answer, this is going to produce an answer, this will produce an answer. So I should have -2, +5, +3. So those 3 numbers should have been our excluded values. Okay? Now, as we're grading this, make sure you're honest with yourself. Don't just start switching it to make it look like you got it right. You want to kind of have an honest assessment of how am I doing right now. All right, number 2, what's the key thing when we divide fractions? Say it again. The reciprocal, okay? All right, so I'm going to factor and flip at the same time. So top left, I can take a 4x out. I get x plus 3. Bottom left, x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay? Now this second one I need to flip. So I'm actually going to do the bottom and rewrite it up on the top. So I'm going to get x plus 7, x plus 1. And then this one I can take a 2 out. And so when I flip it and factor, I think I'm going to get x plus 7 and x plus 3. Okay, and then once I flip, it turns into a big multiply problem. Okay, now start crossing out anything you can cross out. So I see x plus 1s, I see an x plus 3, I see an x plus 7. Remember, you can go up and down. And then I see a 2 out here and a 4x. So now realize that the reason I can cancel these out is because the 4x is being multiplied by everything, the 2 is being multiplied by everything. So that's when you can cross out individual pieces. And so when I'm done, I think I get 2x over x minus 1. Does that look right? Then excluded values. So you need to count everything that ever showed up in the bottom. So this was in the bottom, this was in the bottom, and before I flipped, these were in the bottom, okay? Now I think in this case, these both got canceled out. That means we're gonna cover them somewhere in the bottom. So what I see is -1, +1, -7, -3. So those are all the things that ever showed up in the bottom. Okay. All right. Now, number 3, when we're adding and subtracting, that's where we need to get a common denominator. And so in this case, excuse me, basically I need each of these parentheses to show up. So x minus 5, x plus 2 would be my common denominator. Okay. So first fraction, I'm missing an x plus 2. So then it's a distributive property, so I'm going to get 2x squared plus 4x. Second one, I'm missing an x plus 5. This one's going to be a FOIL problem, so I'm going to get x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay? Now, the big thing to be careful about on this, and it's the easiest thing to goof up, you have a minus problem. And so right now is the time to kind of switch your signs. After you kind of redo the top, that's the best time to switch. So plus, negative, negative, negative. So our bottom is still x plus 5x. Whoop. Did I flip-flop these two? Ooh, hang on. We got a goof up here, don't we? Sorry about that. So it should have been x minus 5, x plus 2. So when we multiply up here, it should have been x minus 5, which would give us x squared minus 2x minus 15. Anybody catch that out there that I had screwed up? All right, help me out next time. Okay, so it was a minus. I switch it to a plus, so negative, positive, positive. And so x minus 5, x plus 2. And so now when we combine, 2x squared minus x squared is just positive 1x squared. 4 plus 2 would give me 6x. And then plus 15. And so then once I get to here, I would be checking in my head what can give me 15. And so I've got 5 and 3, 15 and 1, and neither of those are going to add up to 6. So that is basically my answer right there. And then our excluded value would be 5 and negative 2. Okay. All right, last one. This was from last Thursday's lesson, so you guys would have watched this at home. Okay, so this is called a complex fraction. And so a complex fraction is basically we have fractions inside of fractions. And so we want to reduce this down to a single fraction, basically. So the very first step, turn everything into a fraction. Next step, look at the bottoms. And in this case right here, I can factor. So I'm going to factor that bottom right there. So x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay. And so now, the step that we did last Thursday was, there's a couple different ways you can clean this out, and it all has to do with common denominator. And so if I look at all of the small fractions, my common denominator would basically be x plus 5, x minus 5. So I take the whole top, and I'm going to multiply by that. And then I take the whole bottom, and I'm going to multiply by that. Okay? And so my goal is to kind of clear a bunch of fractions out. And so in this first one, this first fraction, when I multiply it by this, x plus 5 and x plus 5 are going to cancel. So I would have 2 times x minus 5 would give me 2x minus 10. Second fraction, so since it's not a FOIL, I'm going to put this negative up on the top right away because it's really going to be a distributive property. And so I'm going to take the x minus 5s are going to cancel, but this x plus 5 is still here when I deal with that second fraction. So negative x times this would give me negative x squared minus 5x. Okay. Bottom, what's nice is on the first fraction, this and the whole thing cancel. I just get a big 3. Second one, nothing cancels. And so in my head, basically, I would have to FOIL this out and times it by 2. But remember where this came from. This was really x squared minus 25. So I'm going to take 2 times x squared minus 25. So plus, I'm getting the plus from right here. And so when I distribute that 2 in there, I would get 2x squared minus 50. And now I just want to clean everything up. So on the top, I'm going to get negative x squared minus 3x minus 10. On the bottom, 2x squared minus 47, I believe, is where we end up. Okay. Now the top, I would at least look, could I try to factor this? Like I would take a negative out, but there's no way I can get 3 if these are, but once I take the negatives out, these are both going to be positives. So 5 and 2 wouldn't add up to 3, it would add up to 7. So I wouldn't be able to factor this thing. And that should be my answer. And then excluded values. And so anything that shows up in the bottom. So I look here. So 5 and negative 5 are going to be excluded values. And then I have to look at the final answer. And the final answer is kind of a tough one to find the excluded value. In your head, you have to pretend this equals 0. So I would move the 47 over, divide by 2, and then square root it. So the last number would actually be the square root of 47 over 2. I don't think we've seen one that difficult before. Okay. All right. I want you to get your notes out. And in your notes, you have this page. Okay. So here's what I would like from you. Now, if this is a normal year, I'd say go ahead and partner up, but obviously we got to be a little more careful. So here's what I would like from you. Do a problem and then check with whoever's closest to you. Hey, did you get the same thing? Okay. And so there's I think there's 4 problems here in our notes. Yep. So there's 4 problems. Once you get the 4 done, you need to come and show me them. And then I will give you the assignment, which is that pink sheet sitting on the desk there. Got it?